Do you honestly think he's worth 100 million right now?
Come on, we know
Because everyone's getting stamped with 100 million.
Everybody's
right
getting
now.
stamped with his 100 million, and maybe we can blame Chelsea. He's still a young guy. He's 24, 25 years
I
old.
thought he's a little old. I thought he's like 26. But yeah,
Is he 26?
I don't know.
Might be 26.
Even around that age,
Mid-20s,
still young.
Headed into your prime, this could be a great move. A big club like Arsenal to go make some moves for yourself. Moving along into some transfer news, we thought it'd be a good idea with the transfer window opening up in January, just to go over some of the top teams in the English Premier League that probably need a new signing to progress to the next level or even to maintain where they're going for this year and into the following year. So we picked 8 teams in the Premier League that need a new transfer in to bolster their squad.
Hope you're liking our video so far. Like, share, subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
So we'll start with my squad. And there's going to be like some realistic, probable transfers that could or could not happen. But let us know what you guys think in the comments below. For me, Chelsea, we have many frailties, I guess you can say. A lot of things to work on. But one thing for sure that we definitely need to start winning some games is a striker. We have Nicholas Jackson that we took a gamble on for $40 million, and he's scoring only when it's guaranteed for him to score when we're playing against 9 men against Tottenham, when we're playing teams like Luton and all these teams. He's wasting a lot of players, a lot of chances that we should be winning these games if we had a designated striker. And one striker that's on the market that's currently hasn't played at all this season, but scored 20 goals last season, is none other than English international Ivan Toney. I think he would just be a guaranteed 20 goals a season type of player.
Based on his stats before, I'd say that. But right now, I still think it's a big gamble because it's a guy that has not played in a long time. And then, the type of money that Brentford want for him.
Yeah, so Brentford want like 70, 80, maybe even 90 million. But come on. Yeah, his contract ends in 18 months. Now is the time to cash in because other clubs are gonna want him. Chelsea probably need him the most, and he's someone that can really help Chelsea because he can score with his head. He can score penalties. He can score in the box. He can dribble. Can pass and combine. I think that's something.
So he takes Cole Palmer's penalties now.
Hey, I say let Cole Palmer take the penalties until he misses one. I then find a new one because he just came in because we just didn't really have a penalty taker, but. I think that'll be a really good signing, especially with Nkunku back. And, that would be scary. Nicholas Jackson's going to have to prove himself, and maybe this can be the right step for him to actually work on his finishing.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I'm a big fan of Ivan Toney. I think he's a great player. Yeah, I think he's proven that he's one of the best strikers in the league, at least from his stats from last season. And, Nicholas Jackson looks like the tap-in king. I don't know, fast player. I backed him up a lot during this podcast. I think he's still good, but maybe it's time to get someone to push him to be a better player. They got Nkunku back. He can play up top if needed, but I'd rather see Nkunku right behind a solid striker.
Yeah, I'm tired of Chelsea taking these gambles on these players that may or may not work out for all these bags of money. If we're going to spend money, let's spend money on someone that's going to guarantee us some goals.
Yeah.
That's proven in the league and that's hungry to come back after that long stint out.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I like it. All right, so I have United. So I was stuck between 2 players, but
they might need 11 players.
Yeah, true. But out of the 2, I'm gonna stick with Seriu Guirassy. Great player. He's 27 years old. He's a striker. He could go in January because his release clause is 17.5 million, and that's a good price. And I don't care. Like, any team could afford that. Say, they let Ivan Toney go to Chelsea. You can get this guy if you need. You know what I'm saying?
Brentford can afford him, yeah. If Brentford can afford it, any big club can afford it.
I feel like United should take this gamble. He has 17 goals and 1 assist in 14 games.
That's outrageous numbers, bro. That's really crazy numbers for playing for Stuttgart.
Yeah, they're in third place right now, and he's probably like the second or third best striker in the league. You got Harry Kane, him, and Boniface. They're pretty good. They're up there. And last season, they came in 16th place, and he was able to score 11 goals in 22 games. So, I
Look at the
mean,
improvement.
double digits for 2 seasons, and now he's already surpassed, his goal tally from last season.
Going on to double it, if you ask me.
Yeah. So, I think United should take that gamble. Højlund, I'm still going to back him up. I still think he's a good player, but who's another guy that's going to challenge Højlund? Not Rashford, not Martial. There's really nobody up there to challenge him. So if there's anybody, is this guy. He's tall, he's big, and
Yeah,
he
I
get
agree.
minutes on his team.
Yeah, Garassi, I mean, he's putting up numbers that we really didn't expect, and especially with someone that has a release clause of $17.5 million. I mean, come on, it's almost a given. I think he's the one that's gonna have the most power of what team he wants to go to. Maybe he wants to go to a big club like Man United. Maybe he wants to go to a team that's challenging for titles. It's really gonna be up to him, especially him being 27. And Højlund still not scoring a goal in the Premier League after 12 games. I mean, it's a little
He's never played
unacceptable.
for a big major club.
So that could be some pressure.
It could be some pressure, but I would say still a good investment.
Yeah.
Bundesliga is a great league,
Yeah.
and they need a striker anyway. So
Yeah, I think
go ahead and purchase him.
I think that'll be a very low risk signing. I'm gonna stick with the trend with strikers. I'm gonna go with Tottenham. Tottenham has been very surprising to me this year, playing very good progressive football on the attack. Okay with making a few mistakes in the back because they know they're gonna get it on the back end when it comes down to the attack. And for me, I was very concerned when they lost Harry Kane. I didn't know who was gonna step up. I knew Richarlison was gonna put up the numbers that Harry Kane, maybe not even half of what he put up. And I really thought they needed a big time striker or someone that was gonna be prolific. I know Son. I was really doubtful because I didn't think he would be able to do it by himself, but he's been really carrying that forward line, and I got to give credit to Kulusevski. But I think they need a proper number 9, someone that fits that style of play of pressing, full-blown, aggressive, and willing to, just risk it all to win the game instead of playing safe. And one play that I haven't really monitored so much this season, but more in the past week, Sporting striker Viktor Gyökeres, the Swedish international, plays for Sporting right now. In 20 games this year, he has 17 goals, 8 assists. Putting up crazy numbers. And I saw him cooking the Porto defense. And I actually watched some other games on YouTube, like highlights, of him actually being very versatile in a sense where he can play anywhere. You can put him coming off the wing. He prefer to play off like in the number 9 role, but like look at how Tottenham play. If somebody needs to play up top, they can put Son. They can put Richarlison. They can put Brennan Johnson. If they play, anybody can rotate across those 3 up top. So I think that'll give Tottenham a better chance to come in the top 4, maybe even push for the title in the next few seasons. He's about 25 years old, going into his prime. He does have a $100 million release clause, which is going to be tough to get him for January. But we got to remember, they just got $120 million for Harry Kane in the summer. So it's not like the money is not there. It's are they willing to take the gamble on a guy who's been playing in the Portuguese league? He does have some experience in the championship. He scored 20 goals and like 12 assists last year. But I think that'll be a great shot for them because I think everywhere else on the pitch, they're pretty much solid.
I'm not going to say and act like I know him. I've heard his name. I've heard like there was a striker out there doing insane numbers. But do you honestly think he's worth $100 million right now?
Come on. We know.
Because everyone's getting stamped with $100 million.
Everybody's getting stamped with this $100 million, and maybe we can blame Chelsea for that kind of everybody's getting $100 million at least because he can amortize these contracts. But now with that new rule, you can't really do that. But they bought him for $20 million, and these Portuguese clubs, they want to buy them low and sell them high. And buying someone for $20 million in the Portuguese league is kind of high for them. So you know they want to at least quadruple their
At least,
profits.
yes, if they.
But it's
can
a release
double-
clause. It's a release clause, so they
yeah.
have to pay it if they want him.
Yeah, but they can still negotiate if they need to.
Yeah.
But I do like hearing that he's able to interchange. So like even if he's playing up top and Son's out on the left, say worst case, not even worst case scenario, best case scenario, they like, all right, here, you go down here for this play, I'll go up top, and then just keep swapping.
I'm
And
telling you, bro. What if you're watching this right now? Go look up this guy's highlights, especially the game against Porto. If you can find a way to watch the whole game, wow, this guy is electric, man. He's in your face, high pressure, willing to stick his foot into a challenge, no fear. And that fits Tottenham's style of play, especially with Ange Postecoglou and his philosophy on how to play the game.
so sounds like a good guy. Maybe the 100 million is worth it,
We'll have to
especially
see.
if it's part of his style.
Yeah.
So my next guy I have going to Newcastle, I feel like Calvin Phillips.
Mm.
I said it recently, and I'm sticking with it. He's 28 years old, and he needs to land in a team that he can get minutes. No better time. Tonali's out. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a loan, go out there, prove that you could be a good quality player for the time being, and find another team. Maybe in the EPL, maybe somewhere else. I'm hearing he might go to Juve, but if he wants to be part of Southgate's plan for the Euros, I think it's better to stay close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
You know how it goes.
you know how it goes. So,
We already have English players that play in Italy that don't get a sniff at the England squad.
yeah,
So I don't want to
you don't
fall
want
into
to
that.
fall into that
category.
trap.
Yeah.
Trap. So I think, if he's not going to play under Pep, look, right here. He has 4 Premier League starts this season. Last season, he got 12. And for a guy, appearances, yeah.
Not even a start in the Premier League.
So I don't know if it starts. I just know it's appearances. So for a guy that I feel like was pretty good at Leeds, I thought he was a proper leader at Leeds.
Yeah.
I think he still can do it. He just needs to find a team that is willing to trust his ability and give him game time.
I agree, man. You already know what Pep said about Calvin Phillips. He's so sorry. He doesn't see him in his plans.
And if he's doing it publicly, bro, he's pretty much saying, go ahead, go.
Pretty much giving you
fly away.
Authorization to be like, hey, man, I really want you to leave this club. Not because you're a bad player, just because I just don't see you in my plans.
Yeah.
Respectfully, disrespectfully, however you want to take it. But speaking of Leeds, he did play for Leeds. And if you remember, Leeds had that kind of like Newcastle style of just go forward and run and play and run until you can't run anymore.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a really good balance to that squad and allow Joel Linton and maybe Guimaraes to go create a little bit more forward so Calvin Phillips can sit in. We know Tonali's out for the rest of the season due to suspension. Longstaff, Joe Willock recently coming back from injuries. So you might want to have someone like Calvin Phillips. Juventus, I think they're doing something smart because, Pogba's out for the rest of his career. And Fagioli is out for the season. So I think Newcastle's a good shout, man. It'll be really good.
Newcastle, too, I don't feel like they've been playing with a defensive mid anyways in recent games. So just to have that option there just in case is good to have.
Yeah.
Extra protection.
And let's see if he sticks with them. I think that's a very probable, probably 9 out of 10 chance of him going there because that makes sense to me. Who do I have? Aston Villa. A team that's really surprising with the new coach, or a coach from last year that's really progressing them. And I was looking at their squad, and I'm like, the only kind of position I see that they don't really have one of these players, pretty much a left winger. But I didn't really go with a left winger. I went more of a place where they need a little bit more solidity, depth, and backup. And that's at the striker role. Because Oli Watkins really doesn't have that backup. After Oli Watkins, you have someone that used to play for Chicago Fire last year.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. No disrespect to John Duran, but we're going to need someone that's a little bit more experienced if we're going to go into the Champions League and Europa League and all these other clubs, all these other competitions and win. And here in the title race, sitting in third. So the player I went for was Gerard Moreno from Villarreal. He's not too young. He's about 29, 30 years old, so he's not really have the most years left, but at the end of the day, he has a history with Unai Emery back in Villarreal when they had that run in the Champions League where they went to the semifinals, beat Bayern, beat all these crazy, almost beat Liverpool, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big
So
teams.
at the end of the day, I think he'll be a good backup just to rotate with Oli Watkins because you need to have that rotation so he doesn't get injured. He's been playing every single minute, and we've seen players playing an insane amount of games right now, and we know what happens when you play too many games. So I think that'll be a good shout. Villarreal don't really have anything to play for. They're in Europa League. They finished top in their group, but I think it might be the next step for Gerard Moreno to go to the next level in the Premier League. A perfect opportunity with a coach he used to play with. And they're like in 13th place in the league. They're really not going to do
It
anything.
doesn't seem like they're going to.
So I think that'll be a great move for him to try and get his name out there
Yeah,
more.
I think he's a proper player. Yeah, he's left-footed, right?
Left-footed, yeah.
Left-footed, yeah. Did pretty well the past few seasons, but I don't know as far as his stats this season. I don't know if he's really doing his thing.
Yeah, he's like 5 goals and assists or 2, but that could be down to I know he was
Could be down to the team too,
and the team isn't doing too well. So I think if he gets back with the coach that he really did the best under, he can have a rejuvenation in his career and do some big things and help Aston Villa move forward.
That's a good shout. So my next guy I got for Man City.
I really like this one right here, man.
Yeah. It's a good one because, since Mahrez left, there's just been like anybody playing in that role. Maybe Alvarez, maybe Foden, maybe what's his name? Bernardo Silva. I feel like they need a proper right winger, someone that's going to play strictly in that position. And I'm going with Pedro Neto. He Portuguese international. He's a young guy. He's 23 years old. Perfect time for him to come into the team. Because they just got Jeremy Doku. He's very young too. So give these players time to mold and become complete players at a young age.
Yeah.
He has 7 assists right now, and he has 1 goal in the Premier League. But he's still number 1 when it comes to assists. He's tied with Salah, and he's tied with Trippier, and he's been missing games due to injury. So it just shows you that he's a big player for Wolves, and he's important to the team. So if City can secure a guy like him, it's pretty good. His pass accuracy, they have it as 83%, pretty good. Pep likes guys that can pass the ball.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be a proper guy. EPL experience.
Yeah, and like you said it all. Creative, Portuguese, which I think is an advantage in the Man City team. You got Bernardo Silva, you got Ruben Neves. Ruben
Neves.
No, Ruben Diaz.
Yeah.
Ruben Diaz, Mateus Nunes.
Yep.
You have a bunch of fellow compatriots, the same nationality, that's going to help you mold. And I think he fits perfectly into that right wing. It seems like there's a hole there, and he'll fill it up pretty well. So, great shout, man. I think he would do really well in January. They're looking to bolster up for their upcoming competitions and hopefully for them get back into first place. So.
Oh, no, we don't want that.
Hopefully for them. Yeah, we don't want that at all.
Hopefully not. But who's your next team?
Man City's, I guess, new rivals for this season, I guess, and a little bit last season. Arsenal, looking very strong. Looking like they made some good signings in the summer, but maybe missing 1 or 2 pieces that aren't really gelling too well. And I think one position that they really need to solidify a little bit more is that striker role. Gabriel Jesus is a great signing to not this season, but last season in the summer. Came from Man City, has that Premier League experience, but he hasn't really been that prolific. And he's actually come out in interviews and saying, hey, goal scoring isn't my forte, but I can contribute in other areas, which is great. But you need a proper goal scorer if you're going to win in the Premier League and if you want to go far in the Champions League. And I think you don't have to be the biggest name on the starting 11, but you do need someone that's going to be able to score. And one player that I've seen in the past year or 2, or maybe even 3, really score in big moments is Youssef En-Nesyri, Moroccan international from Sevilla. Tall, big dude, can hold up the ball. I think if you slot him right into Arsenal, he doesn't have to play every single game, but he's kind of like Gerard Moreno's situation. Sevilla is out of all European competition. They're sitting in 14th in La Liga. They just fired their coach. Team's not really playing too well, and he's still a young guy. You know, he's 24, 25 years
I
old.
thought he's a little old. I thought he's like 26. But yeah,
Is he 26?
I don't know.
Might be 26.
Even around that age,
Mid-20s.
Still young.
Headed into your prime, this could be a great move, a big club like Arsenal to go make some moves for yourself. And not only that, you know, really help the squad and go forward. So I think it's a good shot because he has that Champions League and Europa League experience. He's been part of that squad for years where they won those 3 in a row or whatever, or at least in that conversation. So
I think it's a good pickup because it's not going to break the bank.
True.
And, you know, you got someone that helped, you know, his national team
go deep
very, very far. I think the furthest.
ever.
Yeah.
Well, they went to semifinals.
Semifinals, yep.
Crazy.
And they had to, play France, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough game.
Tough game.
But I think he's a great player for club and country. It'll be a good pickup because it's someone different from Jesus. Jesus doesn't necessarily have to leave the club or anything. He just needs, Arsenal need a different type of player. You don't want to go get a same guy, you know, that can do the same thing as Jesus. Right. Go get someone that's tall, strong on the ball, that can lay off to Saka and Martinelli and be in the box for headers.
Right, especially with those creative players like Saka and Martinelli that can take on their man, but maybe they need to look over and see if someone can get their head on the cross. And Yusuf En-Nesyri is definitely an aerial threat.
Tall guy. So my next team I have is my team, Liverpool. There's a lot of positions you could say we probably need, but I'm going with the center back position right now just because Joel Matip is injured due to ACL injury.
Out for the season. Yeah,
out for the season. It hurts. I love Joel Matip. Think he's a great player. He's been in Liverpool since 2016. I think he did his time. And you don't know how a guy's going to come back after ACL surgery at 32, you know. So I'm going to go with Guehi from Crystal Palace. He's a young center back.
Good show.
England international. And I think he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, I think he's really good. We saw last season with Crystal Palace the defensive numbers they put up. This year not looking the same, but that can be due to some injuries. Like their center defensive mid out for the season. They just got their goalie got injured. So I think Guehi's a good shout, man. I know him from Chelsea, coming from the academy and just looking promising. But, you know, during that time we had some other players that we had in mind to progress. But he's still a young guy, isn't he? 24?
Like 23.
23.
Yeah, I think he's 23.
Wow.
Let's see.
So 23 years old, to learn from players like Van Dijk and a bunch of players with experience would be really good for him. And do you think he starts?
I don't think he's going to come in and be a starter. Player? Definitely rotation. But he'd definitely rotate with, what's his name, Konate.
Mm-hmm.
So, 23 years old. As starting, I don't... it's tough, though. He's good in the Premier League. He's a good partner with Anderson, too. So, I think he's going to get a start some games, for sure, but I don't think he's going to be a solidified starter. You know, like, right now, 100% is Van Dijk. And whoever else is there is just going to be either Konate, Matip. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's been. And
yeah, it sucks to hear that from Matip, man. 32 years old, already struggles with injuries as it is. ACL, tough to come back, and you know, hopefully he can come back and continue his career. But contract is ending, and might be a good time to go get a center back to fill in the role while he's out, and then to progress into the further years. So Guehi, man, I can definitely see him in that Liverpool red jersey. And that's the end of the episode. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.